The most recent episode of Hell of a Boss focused mostly on Stolas' past, but in it we saw some deep insight into Blitz's character and history that opened up all sorts of possibilities about his past. I've seen Stolas generally be criticized for how he handles his personal relationships, both with Stella and Blitz, but even after seeing that Blitz manipulated Stolas, people still seem to fixate on Stolas as some sort of villain. The revelation that Blitz not just manipulated Stolas to get the grimoire, but went back and slept with Stolas even after getting it, says a lot about his character, and I think it can tell us a lot more about his previous relationships, such as with Verosika, who I think Blitz might have dated to take advantage of as well. Before we begin, however, I want to clarify that my discussion of these characters as sort of villains is not meant to be taken as a criticism of the character or the way the show is written. Hell of a Boss is a show about demons, and even shows that aren't about demons can explore their main characters' villainous streaks. It is what makes a show like Hell of a Boss so interesting and fun to watch. With that in mind, these are not criticisms of the character or the show's writing, but rather myself enjoying the layers of screwed up that these characters are, as despite being demons, the way that they are screwed up is very much human and very relatable. To understand Blitz's conception of relationships, it's best to examine one of the first relationships he had, his relationship with his family. The earliest we see of this is Blitz performing at his father Buxo's circus, where Fizzaroli also performed, as well as likely Blitz's sister Barbie Wire and perhaps their mother. Blitz's relationship with his family is shown to us through his father. At such a young age, he has already put his kid to work, and he thinks so little of him that he'd happily risk his child's life to rob Paimon's castle. Blitz is naturally scared of this idea, but Buxo was immediately able to force Blitz into it by saying he needed to do it for his family. Blitz probably did not explicitly hate his father at this point, but the treatment from him probably meant Blitz did not feel any love for him either. To use himself to convince Blitz to rob Stolas would not have worked, and he had to use the family as a whole to convince Blitz to do it, emphasizing how much he cares about his mother and sister. Further emphasizing this idea, in episode 7, Blitz scrolls through his photos, and after finding the photo of his mother and sister, really begins to let loose the tears. Blitz had a deep love for his mother and sister, I think, and would immediately put his existence on the line in order to rob Paimon and Stolas' castle for them. Even him working at the circus was something he probably did not just for fun, but because he had to do his part to take care of the family business, and by extension, the family. As such, Blitz's early worldview was that if you love someone, you would be willing to risk your entire life for their small benefit. Blitz would take this idea out not just into his romantic relationships, but into his interactions with other people as a whole. While he isn't afraid to talk down or insult people, his ultimate goal is to be loved by as many people as possible. He's a very needy person in this regard, and even his insults towards Moxie are part of him putting a wall up because Moxie already does not like Blitzo. Blitz therefore has to insult him, making it out like he doesn't need Moxie's approval. Even his relationship with Luna is emblematic of this. It appears that the two live together in a one-bedroom apartment, where Blitz sleeps on the couch and Luna takes the bedroom for herself. Despite adopting Luna and employing her, and treating her much better than other Hellhounds seem to be treated, Luna still doesn't show him love. Blitz, as taught by his father, therefore lets her walk all over him in an attempt to prove he loves her as his daughter. This isn't to say that Luna is obligated to love Blitz back. She has her own complex story and relationships with him and Hell as a whole that shapes her view here too. This is just another example of how Blitz will let someone walk all over him if he thinks it will eventually lead to earning their love. Another important aspect of Blitz's relationships, however, is him being seen as inferior to the people he most loves and respects. It started with Fizzaroli as children, where Blitz clearly admired Fizz and perhaps had the beginnings of a childhood crush, but was constantly one-upped by Fizzaroli as a performer. He would at some point have a circus act with his twin sister Barbie Wire as well. Blitz never seemed to achieve any real fame in his lifetime, but according to Verosika, his sister did at least for some short time, likely being what led to the end of their joint act, with Barbie Wire going on to find more success without Blitz. Like Fizzaroli, Barbie Wire seemed to move on to bigger and better things, leaving Blitz behind and reinforcing the idea that he is the inferior one in all of his relationships. Because of these two things, Blitz likely spent a lot of his young life dating around, being in relationships where he was largely used in one way or another. Having had acts with famous people like Fizz or Barbie Wire, what interest people did show in him was likely with the hopes that it could advance their own careers, though there are countless more subtle ways that he could have been used or manipulated in various relationships as well. Blitz himself is also very manipulative though, and himself may have entered many of these relationships knowing that they could be beneficial for him in some sketchy way. Blitz would go on to date date Verosika, a famous succubus pop star. During this time, he also appeared to be her bodyguard. He likely felt used by her, being a human shield so to speak, but also a love interest. I believe, however, that Blitz entered the relationship not because of a genuine connection with her, but because he was attempting to get his hands on her Asmodean crystal. In the most recent episode, we learned that Asmodean crystals are used by succubus to travel up to Earth, and it seems to me that Blitz started dating Verosika for the same reason he went to Stolas, a chance at a way to the living world to start his business. The Asmodean crystals are disguised as jewelry, however, making them hard to discern from any other jewelry a succubus might be wearing. Blitz could have gone into this job hoping that he would get his hands on the crystal, and got sucked into a relationship and spent the entire time just trying to find the Asmodean crystal without getting caught. Eventually, he would reach a breaking point and steal her car and credit cards. I imagine that he actually stole her purse, hoping that he'd get the Asmodean crystal in it, but didn't end up finding it or being able to tell it apart from her other trinkets or make it work. This would lead him to his childhood friend Stolas, who he remembered having a grimoire that could get access to the human world. My favorite part of the flashbacks for Blitz and Stolas was seeing how Blitz had the opportunity to walk away with the grimoire, but still decided to come back and sleep with Stolas, not just for a quickie, but the entire night. It really speaks to how Blitz feels it is his responsibility to do whatever others want or need, as long as they express some sort of love or adoration for him, or might because of it. He not only gave Stolas what he wanted, he kept at it all night long, likely because Blitz feels the need to keep giving in to the demands of the people around him, even if he doesn't necessarily like them. And while it is Blitz trying to be generous, it's still pretty screwed up and an afterthought of sorts. He likely felt doubly obligated to sleep with Stolas because of the fact that he was trying to steal from him and felt guilty. This doesn't make Stolas exactly innocent either, however, as he still pushes Blitz into their messed up monthly arrangement. Finally, we have Stryker, who seems to be the one to bring this pattern of behavior to Blitz's attention. In episode 5, Stryker gave Blitz the adoration he craved, but learned that Stryker was only using him. Blitz seems to have started reflecting on his relationships after this, and how he basically did the same thing to Stolas, and perhaps even Verosika, that Stryker was doing to him. It seems to have led to Blitz believing that he is incapable of a relationship where one person isn't abusing the other, particularly of a relationship where he isn't the one being taken advantage of, as he always feels the need to give in to the person and what they want at the time as long as they keep loving him or might in the future. And perhaps he doesn't want to end up doing the same thing again, using and abusing others as much as he himself is being used and abused. The show is very much about complex relationships, as is Has-Been Hotel, which deals with similar themes with the characters of Angel and Valentino. And I imagine as the series progresses, we will see Blitz and Stolas dive into even darker territory, but also work through their issues along the way. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And once again, sorry if my voice is a little funny this week. I'm still sick and recovering, but I'm going to be better very soon. See you guys next time.